What a wild time to be a Lakers fan. Reports keep coming in from every direction, and the message is loud and clear. The Lakers are not done yet. The front office is still aggressive, still hunting, still in full pursuit of moves that could turn this team into a championship winner. The expectation, according to multiple sources, is not just to make a deep playoff run, but to win it all this season, with LeBron James still playing at a high level and Luka Doncic now on board. And if that's the mindset in the building, every decision from here on out has to reflect that ambition. But here's the catch. You can't just move for the sake of moving. The Lakers have limited assets, and one wrong step could cost them more than it helps. That's the constant balance. Every fan wants a trade, wants to see another big name walk through those doors. But that trade has to be the right one. Sometimes no trade is better than a bad one. Timing is everything. You wait. You let the landscape shift, you keep your eyes on those opportunistic windows where value flips and teams get desperate. That's the game. The assets the Lakers do have, young players, draft picks, contract flexibility, they grow more valuable the closer we get to the trade deadline. And if the Lakers stay patient, those pieces might turn into something way more impactful than what they'd fetch right now. One of the names floating around again is Andrew Wiggins. Now, that's not a new rumor, but it's starting to make more sense given Miami's situation. There's growing belief they're going to want to get off long-term salary, and Wiggins might be one of those contracts they look to move. But here's the thing. As the deadline approaches, a team like Miami won't want to give up assets just to dump him. They'll be looking for a clean exit, get him off the books without having to attach sweeteners. And to make that kind of trade work, you need a partner who not only wants Wiggins but also needs him and has the expiring contracts to match. The list of teams who check all those boxes? It's short. But guess who's at the top? The Lakers. It's not just about Wiggins, though. This front office has been connected to a long list of potential targets all offseason, and more names will pop up as the season unfolds. That's just how it works. Some teams expected to be playoff threats are going to flop, and once that happens, they'll hit the reset button and look to retool. On the flip side, some rebuilding teams will find themselves winning too much and suddenly want to pivot back toward the lottery. Then there are the franchises somewhere in the middle. Those who just want to trim the edges, tweak the roster, make subtle shifts. That's where the Lakers can swoop in and capitalize. Take someone like Matisse Thybulle, for example. In Portland, he doesn't really fit their rebuild. But in LA, that's the exact kind of defensive wing who could help you win a playoff series. Or maybe a player like Haywood Highsmith becomes available. Maybe even Terrence Mann, depending on how things go in Brooklyn. These are the types of players who aren't going to grab headlines, but could absolutely tip the scales in a 7-game series. And that's what the Lakers are looking for. Moves that make a difference, not just noise. Now let's talk about something that's been repeated throughout the offseason, not just by insiders, but by Rob Pelinka himself. The goal is clear. Win a title with LeBron and Luka. That's it. Every conversation, every decision flows through that goal. Rob's been upfront. He's looking to make moves, but only the right ones. He wants flexibility. He wants excellence. And to his credit, that mindset has paid off in the last couple of years. Say what you want about Pelinka, but the man has delivered. He didn't panic and overpay for DeJounte Murray. And in the end, that patience landed him Luka Doncic. That's wild. Think about it. What if the Lakers had given up assets for Murray? That pairing with Luka might not even work. It didn't work with Trae Young in Atlanta, so why gamble on that here? Instead, Rob waited. And look at the results. In a span of just 5 or 6 months, he landed Luka Doncic, DeAndre Ayton, and Marcus Smart. That's a massive turnaround. Let's be honest. If any team in the league, even one of the bottom feeders like Charlotte, pulled off that kind of haul, the media would be crowning them as a title favorite. But because it's the Lakers, there's this constant effort to downplay what's happening. It's like people don't want to give credit where it's due. Luka is already playing like the best player in the world. You could put his name next to anyone, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, whoever, and Luka is still right there. The guy is going to have an MVP caliber season. And with LeBron James as your second option, that's the best number 2 in the league, no question. But even with that duo, you can't stop building. Chemistry still needs to develop. Roles need to be defined. The rotations need to settle. And most importantly, depth matters. Which brings us back to the question. Do you pull the trigger on a move like Andrew Wiggins, or do you wait and see what you already have? Because here's the other side of the argument. What if someone on the current roster steps up? What if Jake LaRavia or Jared Vanderbilt has a breakout year? Suddenly, that hole at the wing isn't as glaring. Or what if Austin Reeves says, you know what? I'll come off the bench if it helps the team. That changes the entire dynamic of a second unit. It solves multiple issues in one move without giving up any assets. None of that is guaranteed, of course, but it's possible. And if it is possible, you owe it to yourself to at least let the season unfold a bit before making a rash decision. See what happens in camp. See who rises. See what you really have before you cash in the last chips. Because if it turns out LaRavia or someone else can hold down that 3 spot, you just save yourself a pick or a young player or a contract you didn't need to move. Now, if the right deal comes along, pull the trigger. If tomorrow Miami calls and says, we'll give you Wiggins for a second rounder and a pick swap, then yes, you take that. Easy decision. You want to go into the season as close to your final form as possible, with maybe just a couple depth moves left to make later on. And to be fair, Pelinka has proven over and over again that he shines at the deadline. Every year, he finds ways to plug the right holes. The one season he didn't, nobody made any moves. It was a dead market. But outside of that, the guy has hit on almost every in-season trade he's made. That's why patience matters here. Not just patience for the sake of waiting, but strategic patience. There's a fine line between being patient and being passive. You don't want to hesitate and miss a chance. But you also don't want to jump just to jump. It's like fishing with your bare hands. You wait, you stay calm, you let the water settle. And then when the moment is right, when the fish swims by, you strike. That's what the Lakers need to do. Sit back, assess. So let's dig even deeper into what this all means for the Lakers moving forward. The main idea here is flexibility, roster-wise, financially, and in terms of timeline. The Lakers don't need to be in a rush. They already made their biggest splash by landing Luka Doncic, and now it's about supporting that core the right way. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Everyone wants to win right now. And yes, the window is wide open, but being smart is just as important as being aggressive. If you make a move too soon and it backfires, you could lose the very leverage that got you Luka in the first place. Now, think about the perception versus reality here. A lot of fans get nervous when nothing happens. The season starts, things feel a little shaky, and the pressure ramps up. Everyone starts screaming for a trade. But what people tend to forget is that sometimes those early issues fix themselves. Chemistry builds. Roles become clearer. Guys step up. So instead of mortgaging your future for someone like Wiggins in October, maybe by January you realize you don't even need him. Or maybe a better opportunity appears, one you couldn't have seen back in the preseason. That's what Rob Pelinka is betting on. He's not gambling on hope. He's making calculated decisions based on precedent. Last season's patience was rewarded. This offseason's patience brought in elite-level talent. And so far, his blueprint is working. But here's where things get interesting. The moment the Lakers start winning big, that's when the pressure to not mess it up gets real. If they're a top 2 seed come January, the temptation might be to hold still, to not touch anything. That's understandable. But ironically, that might also be the exact moment to make your final push. This team, even with Luka and LeBron, is not perfect. There are still questions. Do they have a reliable two-way wing? Is the bench scoring consistent enough? Is the perimeter defense going to hold up against elite guards in a playoff series? These aren't deal breakers right now, but they could become major issues when the lights get brighter in May and June. That's why you stay patient, but also stay alert. You watch how Jake LaRavia plays. You keep an eye on Jared Vanderbilt's health and impact. You monitor the second unit. And if the answer to any of those questions is, we're one guy short, then you go get that guy when the price is right. And let's be real, there are always guys who become available that nobody's talking about in September. By the trade deadline, names will pop up that weren't on any radar before. Teams will underperform. Locker rooms will get tense. Coaches will lose faith in certain players. And that's when a smart front office makes its move. That's when you steal a guy that suddenly doesn't fit his current team, but fits yours perfectly. That's when you win the trade deadline. Not by overpaying early, but by striking when the timing and the cost align. One of the biggest misconceptions in the NBA is that you have to overpay to get better. That's not always true. Sometimes the market plays into your hands. Think about DeAndre Ayton. If the Lakers had traded for him, given up picks or players, the media would have lost its mind praising the front office. But because he was a free agent signing, it's almost like it doesn't count. That's the double standard that follows the Lakers. When they make a big trade, it's they mortgage their future. When they get someone for free, it's a let's wait and see. That narrative won't change. But what matters is the results. And the results? They speak for themselves. Luka Doncic is here. LeBron James is still elite. DeAndre Ayton gives the Lakers a reliable, modern big. Marcus Smart brings grit, defense, leadership, everything this team needed last year. And all of this was done without giving up the house. The team still has depth. They still have flexibility. They still have options. That's how you build a contender. Not by stacking names, but by building a balanced, sustainable roster that can compete in any style of basketball. But again, patience only works when it's backed by smart decisions. You can't just sit on your hands and hope. You have to be ready to move. That's where Rob Pelinka has been exceptional. He doesn't just wait for things to fall in his lap. He waits until the right thing is available, and then he goes and gets it. That's the difference. And right now, there's no reason to believe that strategy is going to change. Let's also not ignore the internal development factor. Guys like Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Max Christie, these are players who have room to grow. If they take that next step, suddenly your rotation is deeper than anyone expected. And if LaRavia turns out to be a reliable two-way player, that's a huge win. You don't need to spend assets on someone like Wiggins if LaRavia becomes 80% of what Wiggins would give you. You keep your picks, you keep your flexibility, and you still win. Of course, that's a big if. LaRavia has to prove it. So does everyone else. And that's why you give it time. Let camp play out. Let preseason give you some answers. Don't act out of fear. Act with purpose. Because when the right trade presents itself, and it always does, then you strike. That's when you make your move. You don't need to force anything. You're not chasing a quick fix. You're building a title team the right way. And look, if the Lakers really believe that one piece, whether it's Wiggins or someone else, was the key to a championship, that move would have already happened. That tells you all you need to know. The front office doesn't think they're one guy away. They think this team still needs to gel, still needs to answer a few questions. And when those answers come, they'll know what direction to take. You also have to consider the other side of the coin. What if you trade for Wiggins, give up real assets, and then find out you still need more? Now you've emptied the chamber, and you're stuck. That's the danger of moving too soon. You lock yourself into a direction without fully understanding where you're headed. That's what Pelinka wants to avoid. That's why every move is so calculated. It's about waiting for the right moment, the fish swimming by, to use that earlier metaphor. You wait, you stay still, you stay focused. And then, when the opportunity presents itself, you grab it. That's how you win in this league. Not just with stars, not just with hype, but with discipline, vision, and timing. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. The basketball world is buzzing with shock and speculation tonight as whispers from inside the NBA have taken a more concrete turn. Sources now suggest that LeBron James, the four-time MVP and cornerstone of the Los Angeles Lakers for nearly a decade, has made the stunning decision to leave the team. While nothing has been officially confirmed by the Lakers organization or LeBron himself, the energy around Los Angeles is electric, with fans and analysts alike trying to piece together what could come next for both the superstar and the franchise. LeBron's tenure with the Lakers has been a roller coaster of triumphs and challenges, highlighted by the 2020 NBA championship, which brought a long-awaited title to the City of Angels. Yet, despite moments of glory, recent seasons have been marred by injuries, playoff disappointments, and a sense that the Lakers roster hasn't fully clicked around him. Rumors now suggest that LeBron may be eyeing a move that gives him a fresh challenge or perhaps a chance to chase another championship in a new environment before the twilight of his legendary career. Speculation is rampant. Could this be a move back east, closer to his original Cleveland home? Or is there a surprise contender quietly assembling a roster around him, ready to make a historic splash? The sports media sphere is already buzzing with potential suitors, trade scenarios, and free agency maneuvers. Social media is ablaze with fans expressing shock, disbelief, and a mixture of excitement and heartbreak. Analysts are debating how this could reshape the landscape of the NBA, with LeBron's departure from Los Angeles potentially triggering a domino effect across multiple teams. For now, the city holds its breath. Lakers jerseys still hang in store windows. Murals of LeBron still adorn walls, and yet, a palpable tension lingers. If the rumors are true, the Lakers could be facing a dramatic rebuild, while LeBron James might be preparing for the next thrilling chapter of a career that has already cemented him among the basketball immortals. Every insider whisper, every cryptic post, every fleeting hint is being dissected as fans and experts alike try to read between the lines. One thing is certain. If LeBron really is leaving Los Angeles, the NBA world will never be the same. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.